Guys, this is one of the biggest shocks in the history of the Nations League. In fact, I think Panama beating the U.S. 1-0 last night does eclipse when Jamaica eliminated Canada in the quarterfinals of the previous edition. This is just an unbelievable achievement from Panama. I'm going to get into my rapid-fire takeaways from this game. I'm going to be talking about both Panama and the U.S. men's national team. And I'm going to say this now. I don't have the time today to make this a 45-minute video because there's probably 45 to 2 hours worth of content that I could say about both of these teams. A video like that will be coming out on Deadball TV after the international break. So if you want to see that, hit subscribe. I will be going live for the Nations League final, Mexico versus Panama. I hope to see you guys in the chat. I just did a stream for Mexico-Canada last night. It was a banger. I'm a little tired. I was up late, but we're going to do this video. And I'm going to be doing a separate video for Mexico-Canada takeaways as well if you want to watch that on the channel. I'll start with a very brief summary of the match itself because I think it could be condensed into a single word, which was trash. It was shambolic. It was abysmal. I feel bad for any U.S. men's national team fan who paid money to go see that garbage. It was a terrible performance from the U.S. From the Panama side, they made it ugly. They made it physical. From the Panama side, they made it ugly. They made it physical. They did exactly what they needed to do. Wait for their moment. Take the shot. That's exactly what Cecilia Waterman did. And then the celebrations with Thierry Henry afterwards were just freaking epic. I feel like I got my analysis of this game pretty accurately, actually, in the preview. I said that if Panama were going to get opportunities, they needed to take it. Well, that's exactly what they did. For the first time in a U.S.-Panama matchup in what feels like forever, Panama were the clinical side. This is usually not how this game goes. It usually goes with both sides having about the same amount of shots, Panama playing pretty football, and the U.S. wins because they have a superior attack. Today, Panama, maybe because they saw the emissions from the U.S. squad, they sat back, said, hey, break us down. We know you guys can't play against the low block. We're just going to wait for our moment, and it came in the 93rd, 94th minute whenever Waterman scored. I'm going to start with Panama because this is such a good story. And I freaking love this national team, man. Like, I'm not even Panamanian, and I feel proud watching this team perform. And I have been trying to tell people for years how good Panama is as a team. And I'm constantly told that they're not that good, that they're overrated, which how can they be overrated if you don't rate them? But anyways, that's neither here nor there, that they just get lucky. And I hate this media coverage of Panama constantly from mainstream pundits where, and honestly U.S. fans as well, where every single time Panama achieves something, you gotta put an asterisk next to it. I just think it's disgusting. When they beat the U.S. in World Cup qualifying, it's, oh, U.S. can't win away in CONCACAF. When they make the final of the Gold Cup, it was a U.S. B team. Only Mexico brought the A team. When it's the Copa America, it's Greg Berhalter in the red card. And after last night's match, I guarantee you it's going to be, oh, well, we had injuries. We had injuries. Well, guess what? Panama had injuries too. Amir Murillo, their best player, didn't play because he's hurt. Barcenas, another starter for this team, didn't play because he was hurt. So does the U.S. have more injuries than Panama? Sure, but neither team was walking in here at 100% strength. But that's what the takeaway is going to be for a lot of U.S. simps who just can't take the truth pill that they got beat. And they got beat at home in embarrassing fashion by Panama. Not embarrassing because Panama ran over the U.S., but embarrassing in the sense that U.S. did not threaten at all. And a lot of that goes to Poch, a lot of that goes to the players. U.S. takeaways will be in the second half of this video, but I mean, just what a story here for Panama. I mean, this national team is so good. I got to talk about Thomas Christiansen, who is easily the best manager in CONCACAF. The only other manager who could have entered the conversation was Jesse Marsch if Canada would have won this Nations League. But they just lost to Mexico last night. Did a stream for that. Go check it out. It was a great time. Now it is only Christiansen, and he stands alone atop the mountain. Panama had made 2 finals in the history of the national team before this guy got here in 2020. He has since brought them to a Gold Cup final. He's brought them to a Copa America knockout game. Are you kidding me? And now a Nations League final, on top of making the Nations League semifinals for fun. Who is another national team manager who has overachieved consistently to that level? Go ahead, I'll wait. Comment down below. Who is another national team manager who has done more, who has shattered expectations more than Thomas Christiansen? I can't think of a single one. I promise you, when he was hired, his objectives and measurements for success were probably make a Nations League semifinal, qualify for the World Cup, knockouts of the Gold Cup. They probably would have taken a semifinals, maybe a quarterfinal, something like that. He has shattered that. It's ridiculous what this guy has done. It is at the point where I better see Thomas Christiansen Avenue the next time I take a vacation to Panama City. And I better see an entire street with murals painting his face all down the wall, because he completely deserves it for what he has done. He is like LeBron to Cleveland. He has transformed what this team is, and I could not be happier. There's nobody more deserving than Panama's the national team. In Thomas Christiansen, you must give him his flowers. If you are still not giving him his flowers, you're a moron, you're a hater, and I don't have time for you, quite frankly. Last thing I'll say about Panama before I move on, Jose Cordoba. What a freaking performance. That's the best game I've ever seen from him for Panama. He was everywhere. He's winning challenges, sending Yunus Musa flying, not easy to do, bodying Weston McKennie, great in the air. He was a menace, blocking shots. Such a good game, man. I really am so proud of Panama. And now I might do a Nations League final preview. Hit subscribe for that. Really depends on time. But Panama have a shot against Mexico. They do. Just like they had a shot against the United States, and they took it. One shot, in fact. Shout out to Waterman again. Just on Waterman, very quickly before I move on. This was the same guy that almost eliminated Mexico at the 2023 Gold Cup in the final. Like, he was so close to winning Panama their first ever trophy. And imagine if he had done that and now eliminated the United States in the semifinals. I mean, he would also need like a statue, right? I mean, not as the star man, but it's like the, to go back to basketball, like the Derek Fisher of the Panamanian national team, just Mr. Clutch. It's such a beautiful story, man. Football won. Panama winning means football won. Let me go into the U.S. men's national team. Like I said, there's going to be a full pod about the U.S. because I can't do this today. I ain't got the time for it, but I'll start with the players. I thought it was pathetic. I thought Tyler Adams should have his head held high. I think Tim Weah should not feel embarrassed. I think Tim Ream did about what we expected. Everybody else, shocking. Shocking, honestly. Matt Turner, you had one job, you were called upon one time, and you failed. I wouldn't be surprised if Stefan starts against Canada. In fact, Stefan should start against Canada. You can't trust Matt Turner. He doesn't play. Play the guy who's playing. Play the guy who's already knows what it's like to represent the Stars and Stripes. It's neither here nor there. Josh Sargent stock down again. I know he hit the post early, but you just don't see the impact from him at all. He doesn't change games. And Christian Pulisic, he is the best player, I think, when it comes to performance with the U.S. men's national team. He has moments with the U.S. You cannot be one of those people who overreact and say, oh, he doesn't show up. I saw people saying that on Twitter, like, oh, Christian Pulisic, every time he needs to do something for the U.S., and it's like the meme of the guy putting, the clown mask on. How could you possibly say it? This man has won trophies almost single-handedly for the U.S. men's national team. This guy scored with his ball sack against Iran to send the United States to the round of 16. Like, that's a false narrative. You're just a complete fool if that's what your takeaway was from this game. But it wasn't a great Pulisic performance. It really wasn't. Tim Weah was the best attacker, and every time Tim Weah is the best attacker, the U.S. is probably going to lose. That's just what it is. On to Mauricio Pochettino. I told you guys this would happen. That Mauricio Pochettino, if he didn't win the Nations League, immediately the narrative would be, uh-oh, Tottenham Hotspur. I effing said it. We dropped a 45-minute video previewing the Nations League, previewing storylines, and I was the one who said, if he loses this, he's going to be on fraud watch. And I was fighting my two, the U.S. fans on the panel. Shout out to Connor and Hayden. I love y'all. And they were like, the World Cup. If we do well at the World Cup, make the gold. No. You have to win the Nations League. You have to win the tournament that Greg Berhalter dog-walked. You are a world-class manager in the eyes of many. And you just failed your first major test as U.S. manager. First off, you fluked the win against Panama when you played him in the friendly. You lost to Mexico for the first time since 2019 in a friendly as well, sure. And now you lose to Panama. Pochettino, man, I mean, the leash is short already. And it is fascinating how quickly the fans have turned on him. I told you guys this was going to happen. I called this to a freaking T, man. Because guess what? The gym teacher, he's not in charge anymore. Greg Berhalter took the heat for everything this U.S. squad failed to do. And I'm gonna get to the players in a second. Overall, like as a unit, not the game performance, but as a unit, well, he ain't there anymore, right? If this is Modern Warfare 2, the riot shield's gone. It's dropped. Can't hide behind that guy anymore. You taking the shots, and the U.S. is gonna take a lot of shots for this. It's gonna do a lot of damage, and it should. Now, I think two things can be true at the same time for Poch before I end the video, or before I end this segment. Number one, the squad is rattled with injuries. That is true. Number two, his management was terrible. Those can be true at the same time. Is Pochettino the worst manager of all time because he just lost to Panama? No. Should we sack Pochettino because he lost to Panama in the semifinal? No. Do we have to give a little bit of grace because he still is relatively new to the team and there are so many omissions, including last-minute ones from Cardoso and Jedi? Yes, you have to give a little bit of grace for that. But he just lost a life. He lost a life. And I don't know how many more he has with the World Cup just around the corner. This is days after he said the U.S. could win the World Cup. It just looks like he was unprepared for international football. He was unprepared for CONCACAF. And I guarantee you he was unprepared for Panama. I mean, Giovanni Reyna didn't even feature in this game. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. I like Pochettino. I'm a Spurs fan. That man means a lot to me. But when I saw the substitutions he made, I said, this is a gamble. If this doesn't pay off, he's going to take so much smoke for this. And he made the gamble. Jack McGlynn comes on. Panama go on to win. You got to look back at those substitutions and criticize. Because if Berhalter made the substitutions, he would have been nailed to a wall. So you got to do the same for Pochettino. Again, I don't think he should be sacked. But now the bottle job narrative, the bottle job marker has been slapped on top of the U.S. men's national team logo. And I'm going to conclude with the players here. Because these guys have been extremely protected their entire careers by a lot of my fellow YouTubers. You guys know who you are. It's been a lot of shielding. It's been Berhalter crossing. That has been the blame since the beginning. And I said when Berhalter was sacked, this is the last opportunity for the U.S. to change the narrative. The U.S. meaning the players. And at the first real hurdle to clear, they face planted, being knocked out in the semifinals. U.S. had never lost a game in this competition. U.S. had never even allowed a goal in the semifinals of this competition. And now you get bounced by Panama. I don't know where this goes. And I'm going to put defense on the players. The U.S. men's national team is in a... Let me back up. I'll come to that in a second. These players are overrated, folks. These players are overrated. The reason that you and the media don't rate Panama is because of where the Panamanian players play club football. The reason that you rate this U.S. men's national team squad as the golden generation is because of where they play club football. You are a goddamn plastic if you think the team you play for determines your value as a player. That there are so many other factors that determine which club you represent that do not have to do with skill level. Do you know how important an agent is to get you to a good club? Do you have any idea how important your passport is to get you to a good club? It feels like a lot of the casuals have been exposed here with this branding of this golden generation that they have put on this U.S. men's national team. Now, could they still be the U.S. Golden generation? They could be, but now they've waited until the end. They've waited to the end. It's like a bad movie where nothing's happened. Now there's 15 minutes at the end of the film, and it's like, damn, we got to get through the whole battle scene now, and we have to have the two main characters fight, and then there's got to be an epic dialogue afterwards. Like, why didn't all this stuff happen 30 minutes into the film? You could have really fleshed this out. Game of Thrones Season 8. Why are we rushing? Now we're doing that with this U.S. men's national team squad. Because everything comes down to 2026 now, y'all. I swear to God it does. If the U.S. had won the Copa America, if the U.S. had made the semis of the Copa, they had four-peated the Nations League, they win the 2025 Gold Cup, they could have afforded a round of 16 exit at the World Cup and still been the golden generation. At least to me. That's what I'm going to choose to believe. I would have said that. Quarterfinals, hands down, they're the golden generation. Now, these guys need to make the quarters minimum or they will be branded as frauds. And this is where I defend the players, and I end the video after this. Being a U.S. men's national team player is a weird thing because I think it's the one national team in the world where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. They're in a really rough situation here. Even Brazilian players, I would say, wouldn't face the same scrutiny because of the value of winning a Copa America to Brazilians. When this U.S. squad wins trophies, it is expected of them. They are congratulated. They were congratulated the most in the first edition of the Nations League when they beat Tata Martino in Mexico. And it has become less and less and less relevant, less and less and less impressive, despite them continuing to win, despite them being the dominant side in the region. And I think that's unfair to the players. I will defend them there. I think it's kind of BS that a generation that has what? Do they have 4 trophies? I think they have 3 Nations League and 1 Gold Cup. So they have 4 trophies as a generation, as a group of players. And some people will still look at them and say they're failures. That to me is unfair. But I think they've invited the criticism because the lows of this generation are effing low, man. Really, really low. The worst host in the history of the Copa America. Getting bounced by Panama at home in the semifinals. A tournament where you host every single edition. Wiping your ass with the last Gold Cup and letting your arch rivals Mexico win it. The lows are low. And the highs are not very high for the U.S. So it is kind of a bit of a cursed position for these guys. I really do have sympathy for them in that regard because, yeah, they have to do really well at the World Cup or nothing else seems to matter, right? And they made the round of 16 the last World Cup. Mission success. They were the only CONCACAF team to do that. Like, you know, they're not failures. They're just not as good as you guys thought. And they're not consistent enough at a high level as many hoped for. And because of that, I think moments like this hit just a little bit harder. Maybe I'll expand on that more in a future video. Like I said, I don't have time to make this a super fleshed out vid. I still got to make my Canada video and some videos for AFC. So if you like Asian football, hit subscribe for that too. You guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. Has the faith been shaken if you're a US fan? If you're a Panamanian, do you have Thomas Christiansen's name already tattooed on your body, or are you going to wait until the final on Sunday? Which, yes, I'm going live here on Deadball TV for that Mexico versus Panama. I cannot wait. I'll be watching US versus Canada. I might even make a video about that too. In fact, I will make a video about that too. So, you know, any Yanks watching, this is not the last time that we will see each other. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, hit subscribe for more CONCACAF content here on Deadball TV. Follow us on social media, link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.